Let's talk about what kind of demonic ass world we live in. Did you guys know that when baby males are born in hospitals and when they get circumcised, you know that foreskin is being sold to the cosmetic industry to make baby dick facial creams? Did you guys know that it's being sold to the pharmaceutical industries, to the medical industries? Did you guys know that? Because I didn't. You know, then you start to think, you wonder. So, foreskin's our big profit, right? And you wonder why. Why do we have this culture to where, we oftentimes think it's sanitary to be circumcised. Although that's not true. That is a misconception. It's completely been debunked. Yeah, it's a myth. That's not true. Wash your shit and then you'll be okay. Wash your penis and you'll be okay. That's all you gotta do. It's not hard. Let's go over some myths about circumcision that I think a lot of people believe that really just aren't true and has extreme consequences. According to psychologist Darcia Narvaez, it is a myth that they just cut off a flap of skin. The foreskin is actually half of the penis's skin. It's not just a flap. In an adult man, the foreskin is 15 square inches of skin. In babies and children, the foreskin is adhered to the head of the penis with the same type of tissue that adheres fingernails to the nail beds. Removing it requires shoving a blunt probe between the foreskin and the head of the penis and then cutting down and around the whole penis. Myth 2, it doesn't hurt the baby. Reality check, it's wrong. In 1997, doctors in Canada did a study to see what type of anesthesia was most effective in relieving the pain of circumcision. The doctors quickly realized that the babies who were not anesthetized were in so much pain that it would be unethical to continue with the study. Even the best commonly available method of pain relief studied, the dorsal penile nerve block, did not block all the baby's pain. Some of the babies in the study were in such pain that they began choking, and one even had a seizure. I mean, it's real. Like, it's very painful. I don't remember. I'm sure it was hell. Myth 3, my doctor uses anesthesia. Not necessarily. Most newborns do not receive adequate anesthesia. Only 45% of doctors who do circumcisions use anesthesia at all. Obstetricians perform 70% of circumcisions and are least likely to use anesthesia. Only 25% do. Myth 4. Even if it is painful, the baby won't remember it. Your body is a historical repository and remembers everything. The pain of circumcision causes a rewiring of the baby's brain so that he is more sensitive to pain later. Myth 5. My baby slept right through it. Not possible without total anesthesia, which is not available. Even the dorsal penile nerve block leaves the underside of the penis receptive to pain. Babies go into shock, which though it looks like a quiet state, is actually the body's reaction to profound pain and distress. Nurses often tell the parents he slept right through it, so as to not upset them. Who would want to hear that his or her baby was screaming in agony? Myth 6, it doesn't cause the baby long-term harm. Reality check, incorrect. Removal of healthy tissue from a non-consenting patient is in itself harm and has long-term effects. I was circumcised as a baby, and one of the things that bothers me is when I exercise, the head of my penis is constantly rubbing against my clothes, my shorts, my underwear, everything, and so after a while it starts to hurt, to where I'm constantly having to adjust myself, and that's, that could have all been avoided had I not been circumcised. If I had a time machine, I would go back and probably slap my mom. I'd probably go back and convince my mom, not to have me circumcised, because that would have saved me so much hell later on. Another thing that a lot of people don't really talk about or don't realize is that you can get sexual problems. You can develop sexual issues, sexual problems, from being circumcised. You lose sensitivity and your shit's constantly rubbing against stuff. So You know, it could turn out it's, you know, much harder to have orgasms or whatever, you know. But we also think for aesthetic reasons, you know, it looks ugly. It's ugly. Uncircumcised penises are ugly. How is what God gave you, what's natural, how is that ugly? You know, it's obviously just because we created a culture that normalizes mutilated dicks for some reason. Well, I just told you the reason, because it's big money. You know, so we created this culture that goes against God's creation, God's natural creation. And, you know, we normalized circumcision. We normalized, you know, this attempt for man to perfect God's creation. So, you know, we fucked from day one, right? You know, and at the same time, kind of it stigmatizes uncircumcised men. You know, you often hear, you know, people say uncircumcised men's dicks are ugly, or, you know, they're unattractive, or they prefer a circumcised penis for whatever reason. And then you have those same women or men or whatever, you know, turn back and have their kids circumcised for those same reasons. So it just creates a cycle that goes on and on. But real talk, I mean, there are horrific consequences to this procedure. What's thought of as a simple procedure is not so. I mean, there's a lot of negative consequences that could arise versus the benefits. I don't even really understand the benefits. I mean, they're all socially constructed, and they mean absolutely nothing. What, they look better because society says they look better? I mean, we just need to change the culture. We need to stand up together, and we need to put our foot down and stop this procedure from, you know, occurring. Stop this cycle, this horrific cycle that continues to fuck up our kids, to mess up our children, to mutilate our children. We have to stop that cycle. So we have this culture, and now we go into the hospitals, we're getting our kids circumcised, right? They're going from, you know, absolutely in love with mommy and daddy, and, you know, from hearing their voices in the womb and having that connection, to being forced through a little hole, to being exposed to bright light, to all these strangers grabbing on them and cutting on them and slicing parts off of them. Like, I mean, that must be severely traumatizing, you know. And if we need our people to educate ourselves, we need to educate ourselves so that we can realize that this procedure is only benefiting the hospitals and these industries who are profiting. The cosmetic industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the medical industries, they're profiting from your baby's foreskins. I mean, I don't know how to make it clear to you guys. Like, get mad, get offended. You know, at least if you're gonna choose it, I mean, at least it should be like with, like, you know, when you donate your hair, or, you know, when you give plasma or blood or whatever. You know, you get some type of compensation. Why aren't these mothers and these families getting some type of compensation for having their babies getting mutilated and then having their foreskins sold off for profit? You know, why is it that the only people who are benefiting are these companies, these businesses? We need to really start thinking about that and check ourselves and check what we're accepting as normal, because it's not normal. This is not okay. And it's a myth that it is.